No, what are you guys? What are you doing here? I'm jamming. What are you doing here? I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Hi, my name is John Skippy Limcool. Welcome to a new video. Look, it's not Omnisphere. Are you surprised? I'm going to be taking you on a little bit of a journey today in this video. I am working on an update for MegaMacho Drums that will be coming up before the end of the year. I want to do this before I finish the OMG library for Omnisphere and the other stuff I'm working on. And currently this library lives under the Libraries tab. Now the Libraries tab is cool in that it can collect all of these really big, the big company libraries that have, you know, all the ones from Native Instruments, and then if you go down below here, all the third-party libraries that are really cool. And I hit my microphone. Stop that. It's really cool that they're here. The only way they show up here in the full version of Kontakt or the Kontakt player is with a serial number. And paying for that serial number makes libraries more expensive. The management of serial numbers and getting them to you when you buy a library, I've had some problems with that process, and so I want to get out of that process. So the next version of MegaMacho Drums is going to require you to own the full version of Kontakt 5. It won't work with the Kontakt player like the older version does, and I'm not even selling the older version right now because I'm out of serial numbers and I don't want to buy any more. You have to buy them up front, and don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is make this library into a non-serial number required library so that it shows up, instead of under the libraries, it shows up under files. And some people, you know, this is a little bit more inconvenient compared to having under the Libraries tab. Until I show you guys that you can use the quick load, control click, and now you have all of your favorite libraries right here. So it's actually faster than going through this endless list to use this to navigate to what you want and then load it. So we'll talk more about that when the library comes out. Make sure you guys are all up to speed with that ability, because that's really important. But here's the problem. Because this is a serial number library, these NKI Native Instruments Kontakt instrument files have the serial number requirement basically recorded into the file, and you can't get rid of it. So I'm having to build the library from scratch, and it's worked pretty real. I've got everything set for all the normal R1 kits, but the revision 2 update kits and the revision 3 update kits that Seth Norman and myself did, those are using all sorts of really cool parameters. So if you have, for example, you want to load up something like, there's a cool one, the binary optic dub. This is using the glitch and the repeat options all over the place, right? So that's something I don't want to reprogram every single sample one at a time with all the parameters. So I'm going to sample these and make them new samples. So the purpose of this video is to teach you how to take sounds that you want to make into your own samples and how to use Logic Pro X to do that. I'm going to show you some shortcuts that I don't know if anybody's covered some of this stuff in videos in the past. I have used Logic this way for 20 years for building Korg libraries for drum samples. I do recording sessions and have a whole bunch of drums in a single audio file I'd end up with, and then I would chop it up inside of Logic. So I'm going to show you my chop shop. This is what I call it. So what I did for these R2 and R3 kits, I need to record them one at a time chromatically up the keyboard, right? If you have drum sounds, you really want to do some cool things. Say you load up really cool effects on top of drums, and you get to be this really cool, unique thing. You could bounce them out in this process, so that way you don't have to keep burning up your DSP memory and sample memory and all that stuff to play the libraries. You could make it samples, then load it back into ESX24 as just samples to play. So basically, I did that to each of these kits, and now it looks like this. We're going deep into the plugin guru methodology of work kind of stuff here. So get ready. I'm going to close these up for the moment. So each one of these is a stem. And if I hit solo and I hit play, it has each of the drum sounds, okay, for each of the kits. And I've named them as I did them. So here's dirty hops, right? Okay. So you will take, and what you do, it's really simple. It's deathly simple. You'd, let's say, solo lock, so that way nobody else plays, and you'd record. Just for example. So I now have as MIDI notes playing the plug-in version inside a Kontakt or whatever this could be some other drum machine that you like that you want to use. It could be just a synth sound that you like that you want to use, whatever you want, but you want to chop it into pieces, right? So you would take this, you set your markers by click and dragging, you'd hit solo so that it doesn't bounce and play all these other things on other tracks. You can bounce at any time by hitting solo lock by Option S. And that way, no matter where you go and what you click, it will stay soloed and they're still locked, right? So now taking this and saying bounce, because I clicked and dragged to make my cycle markers, that sets my start and end points for this bounce. Make it as audio. This is 48K, and you hit OK, and it gives you a chance to give it the name. So you give it a name and you save it, okay? So that's what I did. When I was done with that, I would then take each of those, let's see if I make this a little smaller, right? Here's the folder with those audio samples, see? Okay. I drag these, you go over here, you hit your little button right here, which gives you your file bin. And then you drag these files over here and let go. And that way they show up over here, and then you can click and drag here and put it into place. And it's putting it to an audio track. If it doesn't have an audio track, it'll say make a new one. So you can say yes, make a new one. Okay, so you got that to work with. So now they're over here and they match over here. So each time I click one of these, they go over here. Okay, now we start the chop shop process. I can't play these all at once. If I play these all at once, it's gonna pretty insane. So if let's see, turn solo off if I play them all at once. Yeah. But the goal is to get each one to look like this top one. This is one that I've done already. So I'll solo this and zoom in a little bit so you can see. Let's get rid of the bin for the moment. And that one I can actually shorten it because it can be. Okay. So it's already been divided so that there's 61 keys across the keyboard. The cool thing with MegaMacho Drums is it's 61 samples across the keyboard. So it's not these little, here's your 6 samples to use and that's all you get. That's great if you're trying to really nail one specific thing and that's pretty much all it does. I don't like that. So I like having lots of drums so you can mix it up. You never know what you're going to need. Maybe have different drum sounds in a song at different places. So there's 61 samples in each of these kits. Not all of them, because some of these are these are signature extra kits that Seth Norman made and myself. But this one here, in particular, has 61 samples. Now we need to divide these. So we go to this chop. Let's go to this page. So we're going to go to this one right here. And if you select this region, and you can either hit Control Click, and there's strip silence, or else I have it set to, I don't know if that's the default or not, Option X. And this gives you your strip silence window where you can set up parameters for how it's going to divide the samples so that you can get these to be individual regions. That's the main first step in this process. And the minimum time to accept a silence is very important because the longer this is, the more it's going to merge them until they're all one file. And so you look at this as you bring your silence down to where it looks like it's dividing. It depends on the space you have between the samples. So here I'm going to bring it down shorter. I have a lot of samples that are shorter, so looks about right. Sure I get that. See this right here? That one right there is, they're blinking. I want to make sure I get that one to be its own individual. There. And my percentage, usually it's 2 to 4%. And it's different depending on the level that you recorded. These were recorded pretty hot. I like the pre-attack to be fairly small, otherwise you're going to end up editing the attack time of every sample. Post-release, this is for determining the regions after the threshold, and I typically just take it to max because it's going to still make everything separate samples, but it's going to let them all go to the end. So once you've done this, the important thing is you have to have this region here in your arrange page before you do this. And the reason is this. See how it's one great big sample right now? One big, what they call region. When I hit OK, it's going to say, hey, this is used in the arrange page. Do you want me to replace it with all these individual snippets? And say replace, and boom. There it is in Chop Shop. All done, just like that. And then what I typically will do is I'll go in and I'll bring down the release a little bit just to make sure that it looks right for each of the transients, that I'm getting everything. And I'm looking it over really quick. That looks good. And we can play it. So if we start from the beginning. Oh, solo that. So there you go. Okay. So all these sounds are individual hits now. Okay. So if once you have your parameters for that strip silence, this process can go really fast. So if we go to the next one, Control X, it says 36 regions. I think it needs to be more than that. Let's take a look at this. That's one region there, so it's not there. There, 61 regions. That tells me it's right because I know I have 61 samples. So if I say OK to that, replace, boom, the next one's done. And you can keep going down the line for each one of these, doing this process. And typically what I do, because when it's really serious filing time, instead of just doing a video like this, I'll sit and play each one. And I put control. Now this is where you use solo lock. Solo lock is now on by using Option and S. Let's see, does this even show? Stop. Yeah, see how it has a little lock now? What that means is that since it's solo locked, I can deselect it. And there's still a yellow outline around these. They're still soloed. No matter what I do, I can go to individual regions like this. The whole thing is still soloed. So this way I can go through it and go, oh, that can be shorter. So I can go in here and make that shorter. That can be shorter. So it's locked to solo. I can edit these samples so that I don't have all these extra sample memory for these guys. Shorter. Okay. So solo lock is really cool and helpful for that kind of stuff. Let's go to the next one. Let's go and close this. The next one right here. We'll stop with this one. I don't want to bore you guys till you're like all water in the eyes. But 61 regions, the settings are right, the levels are right. Boom. Replace. Done. Make it a little bit shorter. I'm going to peruse these really quick to make sure they're right. That looks good. Okay. So once you have this done for all of these regions, right? Let's just pretend I'm ready to move to the next step. Technically I'm not. There's 4 more kits to do, but I'm not going to do them right now. Let's take this first kit and we're going to spit it out so you can see the whole process. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to name it because that's the next step in this process, is to name. So I'm going to get my naming tool And if I select all of these and I say acapella
Used to be that
trap,
it did it right.
well, okay. 1. So they go 1 through 61, right? Because I have now named it that way, when I spit it out, they will be named to those names to the samples. So if you go over here and let's see, we can turn off solo, but we can just select these guys and say, actually, I think you now, used to be, you could do it from there, but I think now you have to go export 61 regions as audio files. And by doing this, and let's go to the R3 here, new folder, and call it chopped. And I don't want to do, I don't need to do that because I made sure I didn't overdrive when I did it. And I say save. Okay. It killed the audio and it went through and basically did a bounce, but it bounced it just for those selected regions to now be individual audio files. So if I go here and I open up this folder, there's now a chopped folder with all 61 samples all by itself, ready to go. Okay. Ready to go. Okay, so the next goal is to get these samples that are chopped to play inside of this as samples without needing all the glitch and all the different settings and stuff. So what I'm going to do, let's see, I would take this and let's load up one of the stock kits and we'll use quick load because this is faster than finding the library, and just go like this because these are just default without any glitch, without anything set. And you go to the map editor, select all of them but one. You keep one and you delete the rest. This is because the way that Kontakt works, and the thing that's really cool is I have this global and this drums, so I can change all of these samples all together or just one at a time. And the reason I can do just one at a time is because they each have their own group. But I'm going to put new samples in that need new groups. So now what I do is I go to this and I say, where is it? Purge empty groups. So there's only one sample and one group that has the template that's connected with the wires and everything required. So I can now delete this sample because there's just one of these groups. And then I take all the samples and I click and I drag to put it over here. I don't want to do 127 velocity splits. I want it to do every note. Okay, so I've now dragged these samples in. There's a single group, which means right now it's working like it's set to global all the time. So if I bring up the reverb, it's reverb on everything. If I turn on the distortion, they're all distorted, right? I don't want that because we came up with this system to make it so that we could have separate settings to separate sounds. So check this out. This is what's so cool. So you select all of these and you only have one group setting. There's only one thing. Whatever you have selected, it will look at. You go down to these samples and you right click and you say move each zone to its own group clone. And by doing that, it says, yeah, it's going to take it a minute to do this. It doesn't take it that long anymore. It makes a separate group now for every single sample. So now I have my samples inside of the Kontakt 5 interface of MegaMacho Drums. I could go to this and I could turn on the glitch. Oh, I have it for everything. Let's say global off drums. And I want this panned over here. And then I want this to have distortion and lo-fi and maybe some punch. That's the power of this interface, is how fast it is to do really, really cool things to drum samples. And that's how you would do it to your own drum samples. in this case, I would have to say bad Skippy, because I'm not supposed to have any of this stuff on when I do my kits. Okay, and then I can go over here to right here and say save as, and it says that's the current thing that it is, but this is now called the acapella trap. Save it to the desktop because this is a new version, and boom, I've created a kit using new samples using this interface. And so I could be anywhere else. I could be playing with like Evoxa, which is, by the way, yeah, the guys that made Evoxa, which is a really cool, I don't know if you've played with Evoxa before, but for all the really cool glitchy, the lead sounds are I've licensed drum sounds from these guys that will be coming in this new library. The new update to MegaMacho Drums has all the OMG drums and drums from Echo Soundworks. So I'm really excited. It's going to be a cool library. It should be out probably in early December, early mid-December, before Christmas, for a nice Christmas present, right? So that's the basic idea. You would use your Logic Pro sequencer to play the sounds one at a time that you want to have separately. They could be samples of chords or whatever, right? And then you use strip silence after you've brought in the file in here and you've dragged it over. Let's take one of these like this, and you drag it over here to a region. They exist already, so it's not gonna, well, it would let me down here. And this way it now exists as a full single region. And then you would control click on this and say strip silence, and you would set up your parameters, something like, oh, this is back to the default parameters. Remember, it's about 2.5. And you just change the length of time to accept as silence to where you get it to see where you don't have a whole lot of tiny pieces. Unless you want really weird glitch stuff, then that's a really cool thing to do, is set this really small and you get all sorts of really cool things to granulate. So yeah, 61 there, because I know how many samples this has. And then the minimum, let's see, the attack to be 0 or just a little for 5. And then the minimum time to accept is silence. I take it up until I see that everything is full. And I say, okay, replace, make these a little bit shorter, right? Then you'd go in and you'd rename these, starting with the first one, select them all. I don't know why it won't let me do that now all of a sudden, but if you select all of these guys and zoom in, let's see, zoom in so that you're clicking the first one and name it with number 1. That way all the way to whatever number is the last one. And the last one is number 61. Then you can select all of these, and then you go to File, Export, and come back here. Export 61 regions as audio files, and that's how you spit them out after you've gone through the chop shop process. So there you go. That's how I'm building these libraries, because of the fact that there's really cool parameters that we program for these bonus kits in MegaMacho Drums that I can't program those into the new version of the library, but I want those drum kits to work, because one of the cool things inside of MegaMacho Drums is this groove player, and we're keeping that, of course. So that is available. If we said MegaMacho Drums, let me say over here to one of these guys, there's this, let's see, make this go away. There's a groove player over here, and there's all these really cool single instrument grooves, dubstep. These are all built in. So if I have this set to one of the drum kits in the R2, like the Moomba, we actually made a whole bunch of kits, MIDI files based on these. So if you go down here to the Moobaton, these all work with the kits. And if you want, you can limit the range. just a kick and snare, just a high energy, all sorts of stuff. And it follows your sequencer. We'll get into all the details when the library is final. I'll go through the interface again for you guys, but that's the process, okay? So food for thought. Hope that helps. See you later.